What's happening, YouTube? Jonathan Perriente, The Education 10 here, coming at you guys with another YouTube video. I want to ask you guys to please subscribe to my channel. Any questions, please leave a comment in the description below. So, trade deadline is passed. We're now in mid-August of the baseball season. Hard to believe we're only a couple weeks from September, and it becomes crunch time now for playoff contending teams. So, for the Yankees right now, they're in a very, in a peculiar spot right now. They were swept by Boston about 2 weeks ago. 10 games out of first. Pretty much the wild card is going to be their only safety net right now, which they remain 3.5 games up on. Oakland won again. So that got me to asking this: with what the Yankees have been doing of late, pitching's been a little up and down, and Zach Britton hasn't really been good since he came over to the Yanks, and parts of the pen have been a little shaky of late recently. Severino has not been himself this half of the year at all. I don't know what happened to Severino since the first half of the season, but he's not nearly the same pitcher he was. So now it's gotten me to thinking, who do the Yankees want to start? I know this is early, but should the Yankees be in the wild card game, which very likely could happen? Who do you pitch? In the beginning, you would have said Severino, because he was pitching extraordinarily well. But of late, Severino's 1-4, has an ERA just below 7, and just has not been able to put hitters away like he did in the first half. The word going around is maybe he has been tipping his pitches, and teams are figuring out that curveball or that slider is coming, so they gear up for his fastball. Severino has been hit very hard of late, particularly via the long ball, which is a very big concern. So, with that being said, you now kind of have to go with, you don't want Severino pitching in the wild card game now because his stuff's not been there. And, last year in the wild card game, the Yankees' pen had to bail him out big time, which they did. So, if you had to pick another option, who would you want? You would have said maybe Tanaka would have been a good alternative. But Tanaka's known to be a guy that gives up the long ball, and he can be a little up and down. Even though Tanaka even though he proved last year he could be a big game pitcher in the playoffs, one game playoff against possibly who knows right now, and right now with the way the Oakland A's are playing and the way the Astros have really dropped off, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Yankees-Astros in the wild card game. And probably very likely could be. Would you want Tanaka to pitch in that type of a game? Considering it wasn't long ago that Tanaka pitched against the Astros, against Dallas Keuchel, in a wild card game, and what happened? At Yankee Stadium, Yanks lost. Of course, that was a different Yankees team back then. It wasn't the team they have now. So, that only leaves one other option. Sabathia is hurt right now. Of course, you'd want Sabathia, but I think right now I think the answer, we just saw that in today's game against the Rays. Happ, I think, would be the perfect choice to start a wild card game. Probably would not have said that a few months ago. Probably everybody would have been looking at me like I was crazy. Right now, Happ has been the one consistent starter, along with Lance Lynn. I mean, it's a good toss-up with Lynn, but Happ's been the most consistent Yankee so far since we've gotten him from the Blue Jays. 3 starts, 3 wins. He's only given up a total of 4 earned runs. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a young Pettit. Doesn't throw overpoweringly hard, but he throws inside. He can throw his cutter, can mix his pitches up, and he'll get strikeouts with that stuff. And of course, J. Happ is perfectly accustomed to pitching in the American League East. So, you ask yourself, why would I pick J. Happ? Why would I pick him over Tanaka? Why would I pick him over Sabathia? Why would I pick him over Severino? Why would I even pick him over Lance Lynn? I just mentioned J. Happ can mix his pitches up. He's a guy that's been in big games. He's won a World Series. And you just kind of get this feel that he can handle pressure. Not saying none of the other Yankees could handle pressure. Playing in New York is pressure within itself. But I think if you're the Yankees right now and you have to really look at what you have right now within your team right now with the way, the Yankees are banged up in addition to that. Let's be very clear here right now. Don't know how long much longer the Yankees are going to be without Judge. 3 weeks was not even close as far as the fractured wrist is concerned. I'd say Judge could be out an additional 3. Because from where I understand it, even a chip fracture that he had, that does not take 3 weeks to heal. I don't care who you are. So, with Judge, you're looking at about 6 weeks probably. So maybe give or take another 3 weeks, and you might get Judge back in the lineup possibly by September. Sounds realistic. Gary Sanchez is not too far behind. I'm wondering if he comes back, will we get the Gary Sanchez that was a home run machine a couple of years ago, and a guy that you could trust in a big spot, and a guy that could... Basically, are we going to get the Gary Sanchez from 2016, 2017? That's the Gary I hope the Yankees can get back. Not the one that was hitting $188 this year. Guy that couldn't run out a ground ball. Didn't look like he wanted to be there. Again, could be injury related. It's a long story. He has been hurt most of the year. But are we going to get that Gary from 2016-17 back? That remains to be seen. So right now, if I'm the Yankees, I think J. Happ's the guy you want to start in a wild card game. He's right now been the most consistent starter. Doesn't show fear on the mound. Seems like he could handle anything. Tanaka right now, you're still a little not sure of Tanaka. He has one good start followed by a bad start and can't keep the consistency going. Severino has just been a mess in the second half. Praying that he figures it out. Praying that he starts to get back to the Severino of the first half. Have to see where that goes. Sabathia is currently on the DL, but probably will only miss one start, so we won't miss him for too long. So you have to look at it from this perspective, and right now the Yankees need to focus on just winning games right now. And not having Judge in the lineup is a big challenge. It's very clear. The Yankees have had to kind of squeak by a few games. Bullpen's been a little shaky because the starters have not given them consistent length. So you really have to look at how are the Yankees going to kind of tread water enough and kind of piece this together over the final 5-6 weeks of the season. Oakland A's are not losing. Red Sox are not losing. Mariners are still not going away quite yet, so there are a lot of teams still chasing the Yankees for the wild card spot. And if you're the Yankees, the last thing you want to be is now the second wild card. Forget about chasing Boston right now. They're winning at an incredible rate, but who cares when it's in the regular season? I give a damn when it's the postseason. And do I think Boston's going to be the same postseason team this year like they have been in the regular season? No. Red Sox choke and have choked when they've had great seasons. I'm not talking about 2004. I'm not talking about 2007. I'm not talking about 2013. Yankees were the only team that proved they could back it up in the playoffs when they won 114 games. So what Boston's doing by going 50 games over 500 is just putting a bigger target on their back with every win they get. Because then that's just more pressure being amped up on them that they must win it all. Look what happened to them last year. Houston beat them last year. Pretty convincingly, I might add. What's to say something like that won't happen to Boston again? Time will tell, ladies and gentlemen. Time will tell. The story will be written. The chapters will be printed. Headlines will be made. Yankees right now need to just pay attention to that wild card game. And they have to start beating the weaker teams that they need to be beating. Let's be very clear with that. They have struggled all year against them. And the Yankees are going to have to start getting back to fundamentals and beating the below 500 teams that they are supposed to beat. They have one of them coming up in the Blue Jays immediately after the Rays series, and the Rays are another tough challenge that the Yankees have had. But the big test the Yankees will for sure have is September, when they go back-to-back on a late West Coast trip to Seattle and to Oakland. The way Oakland's playing, will the Yankees have Judge back by the time they go to the Bay? If you ask me, the Yankees don't have Judge by the time they play Oakland, they could be in a lot of trouble. Let's see where the Yankees are by September 3rd. Jonathan Perriente, The Execution 10. So long for now.